Good day to you all. In this second episode of Your Body Being the Temple of God, we are going to look at the aspect of God in us and how to activate that side and function from there. This is a bit complex, but I'll try my best to explain it in simple terms for you to understand. To fully understand the insights I'm about to share, you must free your mind from the indoctrination imposed by educational systems, and secondly, strive to perceive reality as an indivisible and holistic creation. Now, you should know that it is a compulsory journey for every soul or human here on earth to achieve the God state of consciousness, which is called the Christ consciousness, to be able to live a stress-free life here on earth. In other words, what the Christian faith commands us that we must find God for ourselves. First of all, you should understand that God is not a man sitting on a throne somewhere in the skies, as depicted by some faith denominations. God doesn't have a location anywhere to see with our eyes. What we call God is an energy force, which is the source of all creation. It is we humans that gave names to that power, assuming it to be a deity or a being. That source is resident in every human being, and its qualities are peace, love, joy, and unity. When we were created or born into this material world, our consciousness split into two parts for a reason. The higher consciousness or mind, which is God, represented by the right hemisphere of the brain, and the lower consciousness or mind, which is connected to the material or physical world. That's the creation of Adam in the Bible. He was not just a physical human being, but state of consciousness within everybody. I've always told you that most of the stories in the Bible are not to be taken literal, but they are metaphors to be revealed to seekers of the truth. Let's get to understand the functions of the right and left brain hemispheres. Please stay to the end of this video so you can have an idea of the whole thing. Now, both brain hemispheres participate and contribute to all activities, but does the activity in different ways. In other words, both brains carry out the same functions, but function in two distinct and different ways. They have separate views and perception of the world. The right brain presents reality as a united whole, which explains why the people in power have split up all the fields of knowledge into different categories, when it is actually one unified truth, which is done intentionally to keep the left brain dominant. All things come from the one true source, so all is one. This is why the Egyptians stated, all is atum, meaning all is atom, the torus field. For example, the right brain will see a jungle as a unified entity, but the left brain will see the jungle trees as separate beings. The left brain's purpose is to analyze and break down the unified whole presented by the right brain. This process is done by the left hemisphere so that we can have distinct singular fragments of reality, so that it can manipulate, manage, and control it. Both hemispheres are needed for us to function within this creation. However, we must balance these two aspects of the brain so that we don't become left or right brain dominant. The left brain maintains a sense of detachment from the direct experience in life to exert control over it, while the right brain stays in the present moment and wholeheartedly experiences it. The right brain relies on the left brain because its holistic perception, while capturing this essence of the whole, may lack precision and clarity, while the left brain requires the right brain because although it produces mental clarity, it can lose sight of the connection between all things and trap the individual in a fragmented worldview. So, if you look at John 21 verse 6, it says that Cast the net on the right hand side of the boat and you will find fish. The metaphorical meaning here is that move into the right hemisphere of the brain and you will find God, unification, or the higher self. So it is not like a physical event where they were fishing and had to cast their net to the right side for fish. The message is talking about you in the human body to access God within you. In Mark 16 verse 19, it also says that, so then after the Lord has spoken unto them, he was received up into heaven and sat on the right hand of God. Right hand of God is the right hemisphere. Head is heaven. Same root word, which is equal to HEA. Let's have a look at this painting here. It was painted by Michelangelo around the year 1508. It is revered as one of the most significant achievements in art history, located in a chapel of the Vatican Palace in Rome. These paintings transcend their time, revealing the profound spiritual insights when viewed through the lens of esoteric teachings. Michelangelo, drawing upon the true origins and meanings behind the Bible, slowly conveys that God is not an external entity, but resides within us in the famous painting, The Creation of Adam. He understood that our consciousness is an extension of God's consciousness, and our bodies are temples housing the divine essence. Adam represents the lower mind or the physical dimension of consciousness. This aspect of the mind is drawn to basic pleasures such as sex, food, power, fame, and wealth. The depiction of Adam's finger, lazily extended with little effort to reach God, symbolizes the unawakened human, someone who identifies solely with the physical body and remains unaware of the higher truths and divinity within. Adam here embodies the physical aspect of existence. When we look at this side, which is God depicted within the brain-like structure, represents the higher consciousness of humanity, the mind that transcends basic survival instincts, physical pleasures, and material gain. He symbolizes the creative, intuitive, imaginative, and unseen aspect of human consciousness. God's outstretched hand toward Adam signifies the higher consciousness within each of us, constantly guiding us toward making the right choices, awakening to our true nature, and discovering the divinity within ourselves. When you look more closely at the painting, it reveals a profound and symbolic message through the deliberate positioning of the figures. Adam and God, though they are nearly touching, do not actually make contact. This small gap between their fingers is highly symbolic. Adam, leaning back with a relaxed posture, only needs to lift his finger slightly to connect with God. This minor effort represents the act of awakening to one's own divinity, an acknowledgement of the divine presence that resides within every individual. Adam's relaxed body and the lazy extension of his finger are symbolic of a state of ignorance or spiritual slumber. He embodies the unawakened human, unaware of the higher truths and the divine potential within. The physical ease in his posture suggests a focus on the material world and an attachment to basic earthly pleasures, without realizing the spiritual dimensions that exist beyond. In contrast, God is depicted with a dynamic agent energy, where his body fully stretched and his finger extended with purpose. This posture symbolizes God actively reaching out to humanity, always offering guidance, wisdom, and the opportunity for spiritual awakening. God's posture and the nearly touching fingers serve as a powerful metaphor for the ever-present possibility of connecting with the divine within us. The gap between their fingers is not just a physical distance. It represents the spiritual gap that exists when one is unaware of their own divinity. This image communicates that bridging this gap requires only a small yet significant shift in consciousness, an awakening to the divine nature that is inherent within all of us. All Adam needs to do is overcome his ignorance, symbolized by his relaxed demeanor, and make the conscious effort to connect with the divine essence within. This connection is always within reach, as depicted by God's outstretched hand, ever ready to embrace and elevate the human spirit to a higher state of consciousness. Now, the reason why our consciousness split into two is because this material or physical world has been designed to function in polarity, duality, opposite sides, for a purpose. In another episode, I will teach on why the universe was purposefully made, and it's beautiful. So yes, the world is designed mainly positive and negative. When you look at Genesis 8 verse 2, it says that while the earth remained, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. So for example, if you look at the human body parts, it's in twos from the head to the toe. When it comes to physical world time, we have day, which is the sun, and night, which is the moon. With temperature, we have cold or hot. With emotions, we also have the positive emotions and the negative emotions. We also have male and female, good and bad, seed time and harvest, the law of karma. Even when it comes to decisions, we have good ones and bad ones, as well as choices. We also have cause and effect, which is the law that governs the material world. So you realize that everything we engage in here on earth is ruled by polarity. Now, this is where the key is. Pay attention very well. The physical world has been designed to function like a pendulum, just like the breathing process. If you breathe in, by nature, you have to breathe out, repeating that process forever. When the sun arises, it has to set for the moon to rise, repeating the process forever. When it comes to emotions, you realize that today you will be happy, then tomorrow you will be sad. But with God, it's not like that. Even though he projected the duality mode, he is not affected by it. That same spirit is in you. So all you have to do is to switch to that side of you so that whilst you are here on earth, you will not be affected by the frustrations of the world. Everything in the world is promising something you already have. But because you have forgotten who you truly are, you begin to seek after those things in the world with attachments which is not real. They are just illusions, and you will be caught up in the loop which will frustrate you. When you go into the scriptures, Jesus made a statement in John 14 verse 27, which says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, not as the world gives, give I to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Peace I leave." So it means that there is a fake peace in this world. And if there is a fake peace, meaning there is an original one, and that original one is not found outside of you, but rather it's within you, covered up by your engagement in this world with ignorance. Now, this is how you lose or we lost our peace. Because the Spirit of God is the true you, which carries the true peace, love, and joy. When you are physically born or descend into the equipment, which is the body, as you grow from your babyhood into adulthood, society shapes your reality and makes you engage more with the world, where your ego is formed by the perceptions of your environment. You begin to build up false identity. You begin to see yourself as separate from others with a name, tribe, religion, even school, which makes it much worse, putting you into competition with everyone. So it builds up desires and what we call selfishness and self-centeredness among ourselves, gravely making us lose the true peace we had. Ask yourself, why is it that when we were younger like children, we were more peaceful and joyful, even though we did not have anything? We were not bothered about anything. So you realize that in Matthew 19, verse 14, Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." Now, I'm also not saying that you should be irresponsible and unbothered, but there is the perfect way to engage in the world and not be affected by it. You first have to get to know who you truly are and understand how this world operates before you start engaging in it. That is why in Matthew 6:33 says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." Now, this statement has been misunderstood by many. The kingdom there is not talking about a place or an activity or a ritual or a practice. The kingdom there simply means the true peace within you, the true self. And the righteousness there is talking about the fruits of the Spirit, which is said in Galatians 5 verse 22 to 23. Now, as we gradually lose our peace and joy from childhood through the ego, we get frustrated and begin to look for it outside ourselves, thinking that when we attain material things and services like a degree, job, cars, houses, it will bring us the peace we are looking for. I'm not saying those things are not good to have them, but rather get the understanding of who you are first and how the material world operates before you venture for them with good reasons and from a place of love and as a generous person, not from a place of greed. That peace you get after attaining all those things is not real. It is illusion. It will go away eventually because of the law of polarity. So you realize that some people get all the riches and fame and everything in the world, but deep down, they don't have peace because they thought acquiring all those things will give them the peace everyone is looking for. The law actually is that when you entangle yourself deeply with the physical world, your desires increases, which never gets satisfied. So you will always want more, which will eventually lead you to be consumed by negative emotions such as anger, envy, hate, making you more frustrated because it obscures your true divine nature, preventing you to realize the light in you, which is the real you. Now, the only way to find your true peace and God, you have to slow down the part of your brain, which is the left hemisphere, connected to the material world, in order to activate the right hemisphere, where all knowledge and intuition is, exhibiting the true positive emotions, which is permanent and does not fade away, such as love, joy, compassion, unity, that exists beyond the confines of the material world. You get to know that if everyone is activating the God in him or herself, you realize that the world will become a better and a peaceful place for everyone. The world is in chaos because many of us have switched to the dark side of ourselves, consumed with fleeting desires and ego-driven pursuits. Finally, this should be an indicator that you still function from your ego. Anytime you experience negative emotions such as hate, anger, sadness, fear, and the likes, it is an information to you that you've still not achieved your higher state of consciousness, which is God. When you also find yourself exhibiting the fruits of the flesh, such as lust, greed, sloth, envy, pride, wrath, gluttony, it's also an indication that you are operating from a lower state of consciousness. Please, I want you to understand that I am not here as a pastor to shepherd you. I'm only here to give you knowledge and the keys to the kingdom. The same thing in me is also in you. I'm not superior than anyone here. I'm just as equal as you. So I'll try my best to give out all knowledge pertaining to life and spirituality. So kindly subscribe or follow so you can get updated teachings. Thank you.